Welcome to the Flames Central Game Day post-game show presented by Frank Good Builders. Well, the Flames fall to 1-3 on the year, dropping their third straight game by a score of 31-13 against the JMU Dukes. And truthfully, through the first half, you felt like Liberty had found their rhythm finally this season, and then unfortunately injury would strike.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate. You put together a great first half. You delivered everything that you could ask for. You give up a late touchdown to make it 10-10 going in, but I mean, you did everything that you could. You had the environment, you had the fans behind you, and I think they kind of just ran out of steam, to be honest, as we made our way into that third and fourth quarter.
Yeah, no, you saw them load up the tackle box. They got in there. No one really accounted for Vasco, so he was able to kind of get loose and do some things and kept the ball moving and keeping the momentum on the side of the Flames. And so it was really kind of unfortunate to see how things played out.
Well, definitely some steps in the right direction for LU. With more on those, we head down to Matt Warner with head coach Jamie Chadwell.
Well, Coach, the injury to Ethan Vasco, what can you tell us about the injury and maybe even a prognosis looking forward if you know that?
Yeah, he was hurt coming in. It's an upper body injury, and he couldn't come back. I don't know the exact details of it. My best guess, he'll be out for a little while. It was unfortunate. He was playing really well, and I thought our team was playing well. We put ourselves in a good position there. I thought our quarterbacks that came in fought, but we obviously only scored on one drive there in the second half, and in the first half we moved the ball pretty consistently. So it was disappointing for him. He put a lot into this season. Hopefully we'll get him back at some point. He's tough, but it hurt us, no doubt.
Houck and Merdinger, you rotated the two of them. What did you see from each? What are you going to need to see now if you have to turn to one or the other?
Well, we're probably both going to have to play some of them. I think Ethan's a bigger kid that can run, and so we wanted to use him. We had some run things for Ethan Vasco, and so that's why we put him in there. Mike's more of a pocket guy, and I thought Mike did some good things scrambling. He's got to get obviously some more experience there. In the second half, we had some chances to move the ball, and we just his lack of inexperience hurt us in some ways. But we got to get him ready to go. We're going to have to use him the next for however long.
Just another obstacle. How do you try to keep the guys together after going through something like this early in the year like you have?
It's hard. I shared way back when about Romans 8:28. Hey, all things we go through, there's a purpose for it, and I've told them we're keeping that purpose. There's something that's going to be revealed to us while we're going through it. It stinks, and then the injury on top of that. But I've got confidence in this group that they'll fight. I mean, we kept fighting, and we're in a chance there. We have a chance to win the game going into the fourth. We're down whatever it was, and so it's disappointing because we're better. What our record is right now. But this was the cleanest game we played. But we're just not good enough. At the end of the day, we got to be better. And so, but something good will come out of it. I'm prayerful, and also once we get it going and guys are healthy, we'll have a chance to win some football games.
Appreciate the time, Coach.
Thank you.
Well, you hear it there coming from Coach Chadwell. The expectation is that Vasco will be out for, I guess you could say, foreseeable future for a few weeks at least. So the expectation is that Merdinger or Houck are going to have to fill in. From the brief little bit that you were able to see of them, what are your thoughts? Is it going to be a 2 QB system? Do you pick one of them and just ride that hand until potentially Vasco could come back later in the season?
My preference is that you pick one guy and you kind of roll with him. I don't necessarily love the 2 quarterback system. We did see a little bit of success with that tonight, Houck coming in, kind of swapping out plays every now and then. I think that's just on account of JMU having not prepared for your second and third string quarterbacks coming in. I like the thought of giving one guy reps, letting him get time with his receivers, time on those handoffs, those ball exchanges. I prefer you go with one guy, kind of like Liberty had committed with Vasco, but I don't know. We're going to see. But my call, go with one guy.
In some ways, you have to think it's going to be Merdinger, considering Houck is a true freshman. That's a lot to put on a young man.
Have to. I saw Houck had a couple good looks, put his feet in the right position, but his release was just off on just a couple of balls, and that was an indicator to me that he's just not ready at this time, and that's okay because you have some years with him. But you definitely have to pick a guy, allow all of your confidence and your time and your preparation to go to him, allow him to get some chemistry with the rest of the guys on the squad, and to build some momentum, and potentially he can make some big plays for you moving forward.
All right, let's turn our attention now to our highlight of the game, brought to us by the Central Virginia Credit Union. And this was Vasco punching it in for 6 and just stretching that hand out there.
Man, I was on the sideline for this. I was right down beside that, and that stadium got loud. I mean, I was fired up. That is a gritty run. That's just tucking your head down and saying, hey, team is on my back. I got this. It fired me up.
Here's your Bojangles game stats. And on the ground, Liberty did quite well, 158 yards. I know that JMU on the other side, 227. A lot of those came in the later stages when things started to wear down for LU. The one area, though, even when Vasco was in earlier, the passing yards, it just felt like that part of the game was not in sync.
Yeah, and you saw the guys, they really wanted to get that run game going so they can roll off of that run game and get a good play action pass going. We saw that the JMU secondary, they were doing a good job giving good coverage. I believe there could have been some soft spots in some of those zones for some comebacks, but unfortunately there wasn't enough time for those types of things to develop.
Well, we mentioned in the pregame show that it was a 2-quarterback system coming into this week for JMU. It looks like they've settled on 1 quarterback at this point. Barnett had quite the night, 17 of 25 passing the ball, had a touchdown, did some damage on the ground as well. At one point, JMU had scored on 3 straight drives.
He did a really good job. He just found the open guy. He wasn't trying to force things. He dropped that ball in the bucket right there. This touchdown pass right before the half was a great throw, better catch. I mean, he did everything that he needed to do. It didn't help that Liberty could not get pressure. Absolutely didn't get home. I don't think really at all. But I mean, he had a great game. Credit to him.
This is one of those things where you see a quarterback allow the game to come to them and then literally take whatever is given to them. And this is what it is. And we lead right into this guy who is definitely an impact player, already determined in the beginning of the game, and he really showed up and made it happen for his guys.
Yeah, the Richmond transfer was big on this night. Great body control in the air and found himself open multiple times.
Yeah, he certainly did. And, Liberty, I don't feel like has been tested this season with vertical passing game or with any type of that crossing passing. And you saw it tonight. JMU did a really good job of kind of picking them apart. The secondary struggled a little bit, but again, it doesn't help when your front 4, your front 5 can't get home, and that puts a lot more pressure on the secondary.
Yeah, and there was at least 4 guys that actually caught over 40 yards apiece. So they were spreading that ball out and kept you guessing. You thought that they were going to continue to pound with Ellis, but no, Ellis is like number 2 in yardage gain via reception. So they spread the ball out, and we see the result tonight.
Yeah, they found their tight ends multiple times as well to do some damage against the Flames. All right, we mentioned Ethan Vasco getting hurt in this game, but before he went out, he was having a pretty solid game on the ground. I know the passing probably not quite where he wanted to be, but he found some gaps, and he made the most of it.
He also was taking what JMU was giving him. He stepped up, he climbed the pocket a couple times. When he saw it was man coverage, he said, all right, I'll take this on my own. I was impressed with him rushing in the first half. It's a real bummer just in terms of him obviously getting knocked out. Would have liked to have seen him in the second half, but used his legs really well.
Yeah, well, something that we talked about during the pregame show, and that was him really not believing in the philosophy of sliding, and how I thought it was controversial and that's not really sustainable, even for the makeup of this guy. He's playing tough, but body not really built for it, leaning forward with the shoulder consistently, and we saw that leaning forward with the shoulder actually turned out into something that actually cut his day short today.
Yeah, I'm worried we might get some hate mail. I posed the question to you, Pat, in the pregame show. Do you think Vasco can last the entire season the way he has been hit through games 1 through 3? You said no, and unfortunately that came into fruition here in this game.
Yeah, it did. And honestly, the offensive line, it wasn't a cause of that. It was just him being an aggressive runner. So it's unfortunate, but I think it is going to be next man up. You can't sit here and tuck your tail. Fun fact for you guys, my senior season, I think we started 1-4. We've ended up finishing the season 6-5. Not that that's anything to write home about, but for Flame fans, I mean, you can still salvage this season.
Sure. Yeah, that's a solid second half for sure. All right, let's take a look at the upcoming schedule brought to us by Courtyard, and it does not get any easier. You remember those Monarchs at ODU that just took down Brent Pry and caused him not to have a job anymore? Well, they're next up on the docket as the Flames travel to Virginia Beach area to take on ODU. And then following that, you have UTEP, who held Arch Manning to, I think, just over 100 yards passing not too long ago. So UTEP taking a step in the right direction as well.
I think that's going to be a tough one for Liberty, too, because because you're traveling kind of across the country, pretty far game. I think it's a late kickoff, so a lot's going to be wonky about that game, and I am a little bit nervous for that one.
Yeah, seriously, because you're coming off of a loss like this at home, just to be able to go on the road week after week in some pretty hostile territory. We're going to learn a lot about this team by seeing how they handle this challenge.
Well, the first edition of the Battle of the Blue Ridge goes to JMU. Once again, they win this one by a score of 31-13. Flames fall to 1-3 on the year. Dukes improved to 2-1 on the season. Hey, thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. Have a great night, and God bless.